Okay, so we finally all had a chance to see Captain Mar-Vel, so it's finally time to talk some spoilers. Usually in my reviews, I will completely write them and plan them and then read them out, but for this one I feel like it needs to be a little bit looser and a little bit more free, so I've taken some dot points and I'm just gonna go fly off the cuff. I'm gonna talk about the things I loved about this movie, the things I really didn't love about this movie, and the things that I thought were, you know, just kind of alright. So without waffling on even further, let's get into it. First up, let's start off with the things that I loved about Captain Mar-Vel. Probably the thing that I really loved the most was the world building that it brings to the table and the possibilities that it opens up for the future of the MCU narrative. This is something that I did touch on in my regular review for the film, but again, I just really love the way that this movie opens up new pockets of the MCU and through new planets, galaxies, and characters, widens the sandbox that we have to play in going forward in the franchise from Phase 4 onwards. I feel like more so than Endgame, this is a movie that really helps set up the kind of stuff that we're going to see explored in Phase 4. As I said in that original review, the movie doesn't really get the chance to further our narrative outwards since it's set 20 years in the past. It can't really do too much to further the modern day Infinity arc, but it sets itself up so that it can further it inward by way of filling in holes and tying up threads that were open in previous films. Some of these things are things that we have always wanted filled, but some things are things that we kind of never really thought that we needed. I really did love that we get to further explore Project Pegasus, which is really something I never thought we needed or would ever see, and I also really love the backstory that we got for Nick Fury. It gives us a really good idea of what makes this man tick, why he's devoted his life to this cause, and kind of in a way, this is almost the Nick Fury origin story that we never thought we'd get. I also love that kind of through the relationship between Nick Fury and Carol, we get this explanation right at the end of the film of how the Avengers Initiative came to be. I thought that was a nice little touch. I think there's going to be people out there who really didn't like that, but I liked it. I thought that was kind of sweet. Again, the world building in this is first class. We are introduced to the Korean Skrull races, and though we're thrown into the film right at the end of their war, I feel like there's this great possibility to go back and explore the actual war itself in a future prequel movie. I love the fact that this movie wasn't a paint-by-numbers Marvel origin. We've had so many Marvel origin movies so far. They all really sort of follow this similar narrative structure and formula, and it is getting a little bit stale, you know, kind of 21 movies in. I love the fact that Carol's story is told in this non-linear way. We explore her origin in this kind of roundabout way that is fresh and new for the MCU at least. I loved Ben Mendelsohn in this, and I loved his character of Tayla, and that twist at the end where he turns out to be a good guy and the Krees, you know, they just want help. I kind of love that. It brought this real beautiful humanity to the movie that it really inspired me. It actually really touched me. I think and I honestly didn't see it coming, and I love that Marvel can still have this effect. Marvel can still completely blindside us with something like this. I loved Brie Larson as Captain Mar-Vel. I thought she was fantastic for the role. Yes, I will agree with some people. They're saying that, you know, she doesn't show much emotion. She's got a very wooden performance in the film, but that's kind of the point. This is a character that really, she has no recollection of her past. She's been thrown into this ancient war. She really has no place being involved in this war, but she's completely thrown in it. She doesn't know why. She doesn't know where she's come from. She doesn't know where she's going. There is nothing for this girl to smile about, and I thought Brie Larson was fantastic as Captain Mar-Vel. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury was amazing in this. I really loved the focus that it did put on Nick Fury and the fact that we got like a little bit of a backstory to him. I thought it was great. He's usually this hardened guy, this world-weary guy. He's seen a lot of crap. He's not usually surprised or thrown off guard by a lot of stuff, but this is a completely different Nick Fury. He's out of his league and over his head in this film. Now, it really does set his story in motion. I really love how it explored that. We got this cooler, more laid-back, slick Nick Fury before he becomes this gruff, world-weary guy that we see later on in the MCU. I thought it was great exploration. I love the post-credit scene for this. I honestly wasn't expecting a scene from Endgame. I keep forgetting that Endgame is so close. They've been focusing all their energy on this movie so much that I just keep completely forgetting that Endgame is really only like a month and a half away. It really surprised me, and I really loved that. I also really loved Mar-Vel. Mar-Vel. Everyone went into this thinking, alright, Jude Law, he's gonna turn out to be Mar-Vel, but no, it turns out that this completely different character is Mar-Vel, and surprise, it's a woman. I know there's gonna be a lot of people who really hate the fact they've made him into a woman as well. And I feel like the kind of people that hated the route that Marvel took with the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 are gonna be the real kind of people who hated what they did with Mar-Vel in this, but I thought it was really great. And one more thing that I really loved about this movie was the Stan Lee tribute at the very beginning of the film. I think it was fantastic. I had a smile on my face. I just thought it was beautiful. Let's get on to the things that I thought were just a little bit meh about this movie. Things that I thought, like, I mean, that's alright, but it's not the best. I thought this movie overall was a little bit too safe, especially for a movie that is leading into Endgame. I admire its ability to emulate a Phase 1 film. It really does feel like a film that has been ripped directly from Phase 1. It's just come like a few years later. It really feels like those older movies. And the fact that, you know, this movie is set kind of even earlier than all those movies, it does have to take on that kind of narrative feel. I kind of felt like we needed something a little bit juicier from this movie. I admired the way that the movie, its storyline and its pacing was very slow. Again, it shows the genius of Marvel, not rushing into things. It's this really beautiful, slow build-up of a character. That said, I kind of feel like this is this character maybe did need a few films to breathe, a few films to kind of build that character development before going into Endgame. It's going to be interesting throwing this super powerful character into an Avengers roster so soon after she's just been established in this world. Jude Law as a bad guy, I actually kind of predicted the plot twist with Jude Law. I didn't predict the whole Skrulls are good, Kree's are bad kind of thing, but I kind of did get the feeling that Jude Law was being pegged up to be the character who does turn out in the end of the movie to be the bad guy. I like Jude Law. I think he was fairly good in this movie. He did good in his role, but again, I just thought it was not a waste of a character, but I think that was like the one thing in the movie that was very, very, very predictable and just a bit of an underwhelming character, I think. I felt like it kind of went a little bit nowhere. The action scenes in this movie, they were really fun, but they're not the best or the most memorable in the entire MCU. Most of the fight scenes are pretty paint by numbers and nothing really incredibly memorable. Now, I love when we get an Infinity Stone kind of introduced into a Marvel movie, and I love it when they do blindside us. I was like that with this movie. I was like, oh my lord, the Tesseract's here. I didn't expect that at all. I don't know. I felt like that this was an example of one of those like hole fillers or even retcons that never really needed to happen. Like, we kind of always assumed that Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. had the Tesseract at the beginning of the Avengers because Howard Stark fished it out of the ocean in the 1940s and it had always been in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. But this movie kind of retcons that and goes, well, no, S.H.I.E.L.D. did lose it at one point. Someone nicked it and tried to do some experiments with it, and then Nick Fury finds a way to save it and brings it back into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. I feel like there's like a little bit of a divergence that really, it didn't need to happen. This is the tricky thing going forward with the MCU. We've got such a grand timeline here, and there are so few holes that really need to be filled in this timeline that really what's going to be happening with the future of the MCU, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of prequels that are going to be set before or in between other Marvel movies, and they're going to do a lot of retconning. And I feel like when you get into retcon territory, that's when you start to go, oh, well, did we really need an explanation for that? Now let's just look at the things that I really didn't like about this movie. The twist. I said at the beginning I really loved the twist, but at the same time I also didn't love it because I've kind of been looking forward to the possibility of a secret invasion film, you know, where the Skrulls have infiltrated the Avengers and the government agencies and stuff, and the possible idea that some of our Avengers could have been Skrulls the whole time. I feel like this twist, the fact that the Skrulls are good guys, kind of like vetoes that idea. It kind of eradicates that idea. I hope I can be proven wrong. The movie did have a bit of an inconsistent narrative. I mentioned this previously in that you know, the pacing is very slow. It takes it slow and easy, and I love the fact that it did take it slow and easy, but as a result of that, it does make the narrative feel a little bit jumbled at times and a little bit aimless. The movie has like this shifting tone between, I guess, stuff set in space, stuff set on Earth, stuff set in the past, just does feel a little bit disjointed. And again, the thing that I really didn't like is that this movie didn't come earlier. I would have loved a Captain Marvel movie to come into Phase 1 or even Phase 2. She didn't have to join the Avengers roster straight away or so soon. I think at this moment in time is the perfect moment of time for Captain Marvel to join the Avengers roster. But I feel like this is a character that should have been playing around in the Marvel sandbox for years now. Maybe even like 8 years. This is a character that I feel like could have been there this whole time, just in the background, and then we're just waiting and waiting for her time to join the Avengers, and then bam, she finally joins them at the very end of the saga. I think that would have been a great way to do it. It's not something that I hate specifically about the movie itself. It's just something that I feel like maybe could have been done a little bit better in the whole scheme of everything. And at that, we come to the end of my Captain Marvel spoiler review. What did you feel about this review? Did you like the looseness of it, or would you prefer me to go back to like scripted stuff for future spoiler reviews? But look, I'm gonna hand it over to you guys out there. I want you to fire away in the comments with spoilers, major spoilers. What did you love about the movie? What didn't you love about the movie? Fire away in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. If this is your first time viewing one of my videos, you like what you've seen, you'd like to see more like this in the future, then please don't forget to hit that big old subscribe button up on your screen right now, and also hit that like button down below if you're feeling extra generous. Also, don't forget to check out my many social media accounts, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day.